Okay, guys, we'll start. Just let me know how many people are there, or else we'll wait for 1 or 2 minutes more for them. Can you just guys raise your hand? Okay, yeah. So lower your hand. I think we should start now. People are raising the hand now. At least 10 to 12 people are there. We'll start. Okay, so I just told you, just right after lunch break, we will guide you about the examination. Okay, before proceeding, technically, before looking at the concept, I'll just tell you those points. So before the examination, you should look at this website. This is the official website, the exam page for examination, AZ-104 examination. So I will highly recommend you to visit and browse this page, okay, and spend a little time in this understanding this. So this contains. I hope I'm audible to you. Okay, unmuted. So yeah, thank you, Srinivas. Yeah. So if you just come into this exam page, scroll down a little bit. So you're going to get an important information. Okay. So you will get so total number of marks required to clear this examination. So this examination is going to be maybe out of 1,000, you should get 700 score. 70% is a passing score is expected to clear this examination, and somewhere around roughly 42 to 50 question you will get it in the examination. Okay, and roughly 120 minutes to 150 minutes you will get it for appearing that examination. Okay, please make a note. Examination is going to be a multiple choice question, MCQ. Okay, uh, so there is no negative marking. So if you attempt any question wrongly, so you will not get any negative score. Okay, if you have if there is a multiple choice question, uh, you have to maybe let's say you have to select on two answer. Okay, then the question itself mention that select two option. So in the question itself, they will tell you how many option you have to choose. So normally in the multiple choice question, that will help us. Okay. If three options, you have to select the question itself. They have given that select three options. So if you select one option correct, one option wrong, okay, then still you will get okay, the partial score. Okay, the one you should have given a correct option. Okay, so for that you will get a partial score. Okay, then important thing, you should visit. There are few exam prep videos. So I should recommend you to just at least go and see those video at least once. Okay, there is exam sandbox. Okay, so if you have never given a a Microsoft exam before, so that will give you an feel how your user interface will look like. Okay, what kind of a question inside the examination they will ask. Right? So this will be only simple sandbox just to get yourself familiar with the platform. Okay, this is not having real question. This is having the type of question they will be asking. So there will be a one question. Maybe you have to select only one option. One question you have to select a multiple option. One question you have to drag and drop something. Okay, so that kind of a different sort of a question you will get to see okay in the exam sandbox. So I will highly recommend you to just see this exam sandbox, or I'll just show you this right away. Okay, so if you just go and open this exam sandbox, so this is exactly same kind of an interface you will see in the actual examination. Okay, okay, so you have to read it and select the appropriate option. Okay, then okay, we'll say next. Okay, so this is the okay examination, exactly same way. How many number of question you will get? Okay, how many number of case studies? How many maximum time? What's the passing score? Everything you will get it over here. The respective examination will have different questions, different timings. Passing criteria is more or less 70% for all across Microsoft examination. Okay. So you have to read this properly. I'm just pressing it next. Okay. Okay, and if I say this is exactly same screen, you will get it in the real examinations. Okay. And so I'll just say next, and I'll get into the question. Okay, so this is one type of a question. Okay. So exactly same way you will get it option like this. Okay, but this is not a real question. It's just an example. Okay, another type of question is multiple, multi-select, where they will ask you how much correct answer you have to select it. Okay. Okay, this is another type of a question where you have to drag and drop. So we are simply dragging and dropping. So you will get it like that kind of a question also. So where you have to drag and drop the appropriate option, into this place. So I'm skipping that. One more type of question, you will get the appropriate option. You have to place it in order. You have to place it in a order. Isn't it? So this is one more type of a question they will ask. If you have any confusion, you can mark this question to review. Okay, and if you feel that there is something wrong in the question or any kind of observation, you can leave the feedback okay, about the question. Okay, one more type of question where they will give you some kind of a dialog box, okay, and you'll have to just go and check the appropriate setting. So like that kind of a question may come in the examination. Okay, this is one more type of a question where you have to select from the drop down list the different options. Okay, and ultimately when you go and I'll just one more thing. So there is a few questions you will get. So this is the question. Okay, but for understanding this question, you have to understand the requirement or existing environment. So you have to just go and verify that you will read the appropriate section. If you read only this question, you may not be able to understand what they are trying to ask. Okay. So in the existing environment, in the requirement, okay, they will be having some more information about that question. Okay. Same thing, so different kind of question, so you have to observe that question. Okay. Observe that there are different tabs are there. Just go and read all these tabs also. That will help you to solve the appropriate question. Okay. And finally, when you come to that last screen, it will tell you how many total number of questions, how many you have answered, how many you have not answered. Okay, how many you have marked for review. Okay, and marked for comment, how much you have select it as a leave as a feedback. Okay. So you can go back to that question, you can attempt that unanswered question, or you can mark remove this. Okay, you come back to the last screen. So let's say if you have not attempted this 7th number of questions, you can attempt that. Okay. And finally, once you are sure that you have marked the answer pretty well, you can just go and say finish. Okay. So in the last screen, okay, once you say finish, you will get the total number of score you have obtained. Okay. So I will encourage you to just go through this exam page if you have not given the Microsoft examination before. Okay. So this sandbox will help you to get what kind of a question they will ask. So it will help you to get familiar with the environment. Okay. Then down below, you will get the link for practice assessment. So I think there are 50 practice questions. Okay, and you will be getting those 50 practice questions. Okay, from the Microsoft itself. Okay, so recommended to you that before the examination, okay, you should see all those practice questions. There are different websites available in the market which will help you to prepare that examination, prepare towards that examination. Okay, so I'll give you that link of couple of or one website at least. Okay, so that will help you to prepare for the examination really well. But before that, you should understand the concept which are present. Okay, at least you should familiar with all the concept. Otherwise, it will happen just like you are by hearting that question, and you are by hearting that answer only. So that should not happen actually. Okay, so there are 5 different modules for the examination. So these are the module. So Azure and identity and governance, then implement storage, then Azure compute resource, then Azure virtual networking. Okay, and then monitor and maintain Azure resources. Okay, so these are different section. Okay, and look at these section because this Microsoft is keep updating this. Okay, so you look at the weightage. Okay, and based on that weightage, it will go and ask you a question. Okay, this weightage is rough weightage. So hardly 20 to 25% of a question they will ask from this section. 15 to 20% of question they will ask from this section, and so on and so forth. Okay, and there are the links. There are the material for the examination. You will get it over here. Okay, so for all the modules, you are able to see it in that examination. You will be able to see it over here also. Okay, so if you want to read, okay, so at least before the examination, you should read at least once. Okay, and this is where you should schedule your exam. Okay, the current price, I think 4,800 or 4,200. Yeah, 4,800 rupees, but this is excluding taxes. With taxes, it goes somewhere around 5,600 or 5,700. Okay. But of course, okay. If you are having a different, coupons or different vouchers, okay, this cost can be, reduced, or this cost can be nullified also. Okay. Okay. So I'm not sure whether you are having that exam voucher for attending this examination. So that thing you need to inquire with Chaitali only. Chaitali, are they having any kind of a exam voucher on attempting this? Sure. Okay. So this is where you should schedule your exam. Okay, you can appear for the examination from your home, or you can choose any one of the prometric center which is near to your locations. Okay, but if you're attempting, if you're choosing your exam to give from home, but in that case, you should make sure that you are having a separate room where you will be attempting your examination. Okay, in that room during the examination, nobody is allowed to enter. Okay, because there will be a proctor throughout your examination who will be constantly monitoring you. I've observed that you can't speak louder also. If you're having a habit of reading the question loud, for example, I'm having a habit of reading the question loud. Okay. So they will give you a warning if you are reading it, loudly. Okay. So you have to read it in your mind, and you have to, appropriate answer. You have to choose it. Okay. So this link is very, very important. You should see this link, okay, before you attempt the examination. Okay. Okay. Then let's see the next thing. Okay, then. So we we are into Synergetics tenant. Okay. And if I just refresh, okay, and if I see my VM, okay, yeah, so it's Docker VM, it's available right now. No, okay. So which means, the Docker VM, which was already a part of that subscription, you are able to see that Docker VM, which I have created, before this training. So my Docker, whenever I'm having a Docker related training, okay, so I'm just using this VM, so I'm just, kept my Docker installed over here rather than installing on my local machine. Okay, so like that, I will go ahead and I will create a couple of VM. One, I would like to create Windows-based VM, and another I will be creating Linux-based VM. Okay, and let me just tell you, we have created one resource group. Okay, so training resource group, training RG is one resource group we have created just before a lunch break. Okay, so let me just create a VM virtual machine. Okay, so machine which I can access, virtually, that's called as a virtual machine. That means it is as good as your physical machine which you're using to attend this training. Okay, but only thing, rather than present, okay, it locally, it will present virtually somewhere, into the Azure data center, Microsoft data center. Okay, so I will create couple of VM. Very first thing, I will be creating a Windows VM. Okay, so I would like to create virtual machine. In which resource group you want to keep? So we want to keep it in the training resource group. So I'll just choose training RG, the name of our resource group. What is the name of your virtual machine? So let me just go and use what Win VM, that is Windows VM. I will be creating it. Okay. Where you want to create it, in the region. So I can choose what different region. Okay. So East US is one region. Okay. So there are more than 60 plus region you're having available, okay, all across the world. So let me just show you this. Okay, so I'll have to just jump into that point, where I have discussed the region. Yeah. So region represents uh, a collection of data center. Okay. And region is a physical region where your data center will be created. Okay. So there are 60 plus region. Okay. And for example, in India location, in India geography, you will see, there are three region. Okay. You have West India, you have Central India, and you have South India. So there are three regions. So every region will have one or more data center. You can identify, you can visualize that diagram. I have that diagram with me. I'll just go and draw that diagram. Okay. So let's suppose say you're having a region. So let's understand this is the region. So I'll just call this as East US region. Okay. Every region, will contain some data center. Okay. And data center is normally, included in the Azure. There is something called as a availability zone. In short, that they are called it as AZ, availability zone. Okay, but every region do not support availability zone. If it is support, then it will have three availability zone. So I'm just drawing these as a availability zone because I know that availability zone is supported for East US. Most of the regions do support availability zone, but there are few regions which do not has an availability zone. Okay, so you can just see this as AZ1, availability zone 1, AZ2. Okay, and you will have something called as availability zone 3 also. If availability zone supported by the Azure, then it will have at least 3 availability zone. Okay, or maximum it should have 3 availability zone. Okay. So I'll come to that point. What is availability zone? Just repeat that point little bit. So, but availability zone, you can consider that every availability zone will go and have a data center. So there will be what one or more data centers will be present. Okay, so I'll just go and draw a few data center over here. So I'll just go and mention, so you are having 3 data centers. So this is data center 1, data center 2, data center 3, and like that you will have uh, one or more data center present inside every availability zone. Okay, you'll have one or more data center present inside every availability zone. Okay, and when you go and create any resource, okay, and you have selected the region as East US. Okay, so then, okay, by default, it will go and create that resource, okay, in any availability zone in any data center which is present in the East US. Okay, I cannot control that, because that is going to decided by the Microsoft. I cannot have, I can't do anything, for that. So let's consider that my VM, which I've created, which got created over here, somewhere over here. So this is the place. Okay, we are considering my VM got created. Okay, the name bin VM. So bin VM is the name of the resource. Okay, so you have created your Win VM. Okay, so where it has created that Win VM, it has created in the one of the data center which is present in the East US. Okay, in any one of the availability zone. Okay, okay, which is present in the East US. Okay, but we haven't selected any kind of availability zone. So availability zone concept is not applicable for this. Okay, you can consider this is going to store in one of the data center. Okay, so in this case, what if that data center go down? No? So in that case, your data center go down. What will happen? Okay, so if your data center go down, okay, so your resource, let's say luckily or unluckily for us, this data center goes down for some time, maybe for half an hour, maybe for 1 hour. This data center go down. Okay, then the whatever resource we have created in this, that will go down for that many number of duration. Okay, so if I want to increase the availability of my resource, if I want to uh, high availability for my resource, okay, then it is highly recommended you to create your resource, can be duplicated. Okay, so now I'm creating a backup resource for this. Okay, and for creating a backup resource, let's suppose say I have selected availability zone. So primarily for creating the resource, I will go and select availability zone. In which availability zone it should add, whether it is in availability zone 1, 2, or 3. That will ask you in which availability zone you want to store your resource. Okay, so let's say I have selected as availability zone 1. Then when you go and create a backup resource for this VM, okay, and if you go and choose that same availability zone, okay, then it is going to ask you to store it in AZ-2 or AZ-3. Okay, so that means what will happen? Okay, so if any one of the data center, or luckily or unluckily that data center goes down from the availability zone, then in this another availability zone you are having that resource ready. Okay, so you can not experience that okay, downtime during that time. Okay, so remember that availability zone is the concept, okay, which can save you from data center level failure. Okay, this is the point I want to conclude this discussion. Availability zone is going to save you from the data center level failure. Okay, if your region level failure is going to happen, then okay, if your entire region go down, let's say, that is not going to happen, but let's assume that okay, your entire region goes down. Okay, so then availability zone is not going to help me, Okay, because if the region is goes down, obviously from this region, whatever be the availability zone are present inside this region, all of them are also going to go down. Okay, so in that case, there's one concept called as region pair. There's some concept called as region pair. Okay, so region pair is going to help you in case of the region level failure has happened. So while creating backup resource, you should go and create that backup resource in the another region. Okay, so there is a static pairing which is done by the Azure. So for every region, you have region pair, and for East US, we have already one region pair which is defined by the Azure. Okay, we have West US, okay, which is the region pair for the East US. Remember that region pair I cannot select. That is by default. Microsoft has made that pairing. Okay, so for East US, West US is the region pair. Okay, so region pair is the concept which can save you from region level failure. Okay, which can save you from region level failure. I hope okay, I'm clear in this. Now there is some concept which is related to this, something called as availability set. Okay, which can save you from any kind of a server rack level failure. Okay, so please explore that concept, because that concept is also important. So as of now, I'll just go and stop over here, and I'll just go and show you that how to create this resource. Okay, so before discussing this, the subscription already we have discussed. Okay, so my account can have a multiple subscription, and subscription is the billing boundary of Azure. Every resource we create that gets billed as per the subscription. Okay, and remember that every directory, okay, I can have one or more subscription, but every subscription can be attached to one directory only. Just hear me out carefully. One tenant may associate, okay, with one or more subscription. Okay, but one subscription, can be attached to one directory, one tenant only. Okay, so these are the few types of the subscription you're having. So in the free subscription, you will get $200 credit. For first 30 days. That means in first 30 days you have to consume this $200. Otherwise, your account you won't be able to use that. Whatever be the left out credit, you won't be able to use that credit. And that account is okay. Will be active, but the limited access for 12 months. Okay. One more type of a subscription that we can get it like student subscription. Okay. But for this student subscription, we should go and verify our identity. So in the student subscription, you will get $100 for 12 months. So in this case, you will get $100, okay, and that you can use it for 12 months, entire 12 months. Okay. The one popular subscription is pay as you go. Okay, so you'll have to register. While registering, okay, you have to. So if you, for example, first you have created the free account, after 1 month you have consumed, the amount. Okay, and that free account you, let's say, upgraded to pay as you go, so then onwards, the moment you upgrade your account, that, that point onwards, that whatever resource you will create in that subscription, it will build across that subscription. Okay, so amount of time you are using that subscription, that will be billed to you. Okay, so it is always advisable that once you create a resource, once you use that resource, you are not using that resource anymore for maybe a 7 day or 15 days, it is recommended to delete that resource, before you forgot. Otherwise, if you accidentally also, if you keep that resource active, that Microsoft, okay, the meter will go on. Okay, that resource usage will go on, and you will be billed, ultimately across that resource. Okay, so it is always suggested that you should go and close that resource whenever you not need it. You delete that resource whenever you not need it. Okay, so we have already discussed resource group. So resource group is a logical boundary for the resources. Okay, it's a logical boundary for the resource. So you can see this. Okay, this is this can be act as a resource group where you're going to keep what different resources such as web application, virtual machine, storage account, okay, or other type of resources can be combined into one single resource group. Okay, point to remember, resource group, you are going to specify one region. So your resource group may present in the one region, and your resources may also present in the another region. Okay, that is also possible. Okay, because resource group is going to hold what? The metadata about the resource only. Okay, it is, as I said, it is a logical, a grouping of all the resources. Okay, this is not going to hold, on the physically. Okay, hence my resource group region can be anything. Whatever be the resources present inside that resource group, the region can be, other or anything. Another point to remember about the resource group is that resource group cannot be renamed or cannot be nested. Cannot be renamed and it cannot be nested. So I can't create one more resource group inside resource group. Okay. So there is a concept called as resource locking. Okay. So resource locking can prevent you to change, the resources. So for example, uh, you have set a lock on that resource group, do not delete. Okay. So, that nobody will delete that resource group. Okay. So if you have done like that, okay, then it is not uh, allow you to delete the resource from that resource group. Okay. So there are two types of locks: delete lock and read only lock. So delete lock will prevent you from deletion. Okay, and read only lock will allow you to read only. It will not allow you to modify the resource, okay, or delete the resource. Okay, and of course, I can move the resource between the resource group also. But I cannot move the resource if I have locked that resource. So if I want to move that resource from one resource group to another resource group, then I should go and okay, unlock that. I should remove that lock, and then after that I can move the resource. Okay, I hope you guys are listening to me. Yeah, there is one something called as um, there is one section called as cost and analysis. So we can analyze how much we have spent till now. Okay, that we can check it inside the subscription. So if you just go into the subscription, you will get one section, one option called as cost analysis. There you will get how much okay, amount you have spent till now. Okay, but this is not real time. This will take at least 6 to 8 hours of time to reflect. Okay, so if you have created the resource, it will not tell you that this is going to build. Okay. But after you check it after maybe some 4 to 6 hours, it will show you that changes in the cost. So there is one option, cost analysis. So you can go and look at that cost analysis option under the subscription. Okay. So let's come back. We are creating a virtual machine, Windows virtual machine. I'm going to keep it in the region. Okay. So this is where I can choose what availability option. Okay. So I can go and choose what availability zone, availability set. Okay. And virtual machine scale set. So this is altogether a different point, VMSs. So if I just go and say this availability zone, then it will ask you in which zone you want to put, whether in availability zone 1, 2, or 3 you want to put it. Okay, but I'm not planning to create a different resource for this Windows VM. So I'll just select no infrastructure redundancy required. Okay, but remember that one more point you should remember, and that is very important point. When you do that, choose what availability zone or availability set, that will guarantee, Microsoft will guarantee you from the infrastructure level failure. But whatever be the application you are keeping inside that virtual machine, whatever be the data you are managing into that virtual machine, that you will have to do it, okay, that, you will have to take care of that. The application and the data lost will not be, okay, come under the SLA, service level agreement of Microsoft. Okay, at least for this scenario. In case of a database or storage account, that will also cover. Okay. But in case of a virtual machine, only your infrastructure level redundancy, it will take care. Okay. So next, what type of image you want to use? So let me choose. There are many images. Okay, you can see this. There are Linux-based image. There are Windows-based image, Windows Server image, client image. Okay, there are many images are available. Okay, you can just go and explore. If you want a particular software to be installed on that particular image, you can just go and choose what like that kind of image. So if you want Windows image along with some kind of a software, okay, So maybe Visual Studio. So this will show you what okay. This will show you what all the you know images which has Visual Studio installed in it. So you have to choose what appropriate choice. Okay, but if you're choosing what that license software, you'll have to bear that cost of a license also. That will be included in the cost of the overall virtual machine only. Yeah? So I'll just go and come back to this. Okay, and I'll just pick up this image only, Windows Server 22 data center. Okay, and that will cost me somewhere around 5,500 per month. Okay, roughly this will be the cost. And that too, you have chosen what 2 CPU, 8 GB RAM. So standard D2V3. So that is the machine, and I can just go and explore, different sizes. There are many different sizes. Okay. So it is up to you, which one is suitable for your requirement. So as of now, I'll just go and decide to go with that default one. It is okay because anyways I will go and remove it after creation. Let me add username, password. Okay. And so in that virtual machine, you might have a different application software which is installed. Okay. So I may want to install Tomcat software, IIS software, or some other kind of a software which is installed. Okay. There might be some application running on a particular port number. Okay. So whatever application I want to expose out from that virtual machine into your into your host machine, okay, then you can expose that port number by using this. Okay, so that will get they will get configure something called as it's a concept of networking, that is called as network security group. So all the port information, okay, so what port are open for this VM, we can configure them inside NSG, network security group. Okay, by the way, I can decide to go and okay, there is no inbound port. Okay, or there's something called as, if you just come to a networking, okay, there's something called as I do not want any kind of a network security group. Start. Yeah, this option I think this is not visible to me. So I just said no. I love this. Create now. Now if I just go and come back. Yeah, can you see this over here? You can go and configure this. And by the way, once the VM is created, you will be able to configure in much better way. So which port you want to open, which port you want to block, So those configuration, you can keep it inside this. So network security group is, one of the important point, from the exam point of view. So as of now, I'm just keeping one port open, 3389. That is for RDP. That means I will be able to take a remote connection. Since it is Windows machine, I would like to take a remote connection, and I'll be checking this option. So as soon as I delete that VM, whatever be the public IP and NIC, network interface card, and public IP, they will be also deleted automatically as soon as I delete that VM. Otherwise, you will have to go and delete them explicitly manually. So I'll just go and select that also. I want to delete public IP, okay, and NIC as soon as I delete the VM. And if I just come again into the networking part, there is an option called as IP. You see this IP, public IP, So over here, okay, you can decide to go and create what type of IP you want to create. So by default, it is going to create it standard IP address. Okay. So point to remember, there are two types of IP addresses. SKU. SKU stands for stock keeping unit. That you can relate different. What do you say? And different plans you are having. There is a basic plan. There is a standard plan. Okay. So standard plan, you should go and choose if you do not want anybody to access that VM. Okay. So if you do not have the network security group which is assigned to this VM, then no request is allowed to this VM. If you having this standard IP address, that means all the requests are by default will block. Despite of not setting the network security group, since you have selected what standard IP address type. But vis-a-vis, if you choose a basic IP address type, then all requests are by default will be open, allowed. So there is no need, if you just go and choose this basic, there is no need to choose 3389 port. It is by default will be allowed. You can go and take a remote by default without setting that rule into a network security group. But nobody would like to do that, because that is security constraint otherwise. Okay. So I'll go and choose standard. Okay. And I will decide which port to open, which port to, okay, configure. I will go and set it in the NST, network security group. So I'll just select this. Okay. Okay. And I'll come back and I'll just go and click on the review and create. Okay, so you can see here, it is going to cost you approximately per hour 7.5 rupees. So this will be per hour costing approximately. Okay, and let me say create. What this person is asking, Kaustubh is asking something. This session appears to be solely purpose of establishing infrastructure. Yeah, because this is establishing the infrastructure is a part of a AZ-104 examination. This is solely the responsibility of a Azure administrator. And if you want to give that certification exam of Azure administrator, it is necessary for you to know. Can you explain how to troubleshoot any problem that arises? So if you can tell me what problem, in that case, I will be able to help you. Is there any documentation for troubleshooting? Uh, Microsoft is not providing any kind of a documentation for troubleshooting. Whatever be the documentation which is provided by Microsoft, you will find it in their website. Okay, so you can refer that documentation. Okay, but that documentation is not for troubleshooting purpose. That documentation for exam purpose only. So in the perspective of your exam point of view only. Okay, and this session is entirely for that purpose only. So you understand that intention. Okay, so let me just go and create my resources created. Let me go into this resource now. Okay, and if I just go inside this resource, okay, now since I have created this resource, I will be able to see this resource. Okay, but you will be unable, you won't be able to see that resource, because you do not have access. Okay, but now I will be giving you some kind of a reader access. Okay, so that when you go and log in, you should be able to see okay, some resources within your portal. So now I would like to give a reader access on this resource group. Okay, so I'll go inside this resource group. I will go and choose an option access control. Okay, so access control IAM. Okay, so this is the option you should go and choose in case if you want to you know go and apply some kind of a RBAC, which means role-based access control. So you can define who can access these roles. So I can give the access on my training resource, training RG, to few users. Okay. So like that, this option is available in VM also. If I want to give only VM access, there is same option is available under VM also. Okay. Similar kind of option, you will get it in the subscription also. Okay. So on what resource you want to give access to a particular user, you can decide. Okay. So as an administrator, we can think of, so I can give a access of my resource group, okay, to some user. So let me give now access on a resource group, training RC resource group. Okay. And let me add one role assignment, or let me add which access I want to give. So I will be adding role. Okay. So primarily, there are many types of a role. Okay. So you should know, a reader role. Okay. Then there is something called as a contributor role, and there is something called as a owner role. At least you should know at least this. Reader means all the users who are having this role will able to see all resources. Okay, but of course they will not be able to do any kind of a changes into that resource. Okay, contributor means what? Contributor is something. Okay, they can contribute. Okay. That means they will be if I'm allocating that resource group permission to that resource group, they will be able to okay, read as well as do some kind of a modification, as well as they will be able to delete that resource also. Then owner, if I give that permission owner, then whatever reader and contributor can do, that will owner can also do. But apart from that, that the one person is who is having a owner permission, that can give the permission, okay, to the next user also. So for example, I have given a owner permission to person A. So that person A can also give a some permission to another user, person B also. That is also possible for owner role. So they can pass on the permission. Okay. So I'll just go and give a simple reader permission so that you will be able to see all those resources. Okay, so I'll just go and add a reader permission, read permission, and let me just go and select the member. Okay. Okay, so there are these many members are present. Let me just go and give this permission to first person, Prithviraj. Okay. Next person, I'm just adding randomly people. Okay. So you guys can see. Okay. So these many users will be able to see. Okay. But this is very hectic, Okay. So what is the better way? You can go and create a group. Okay. And maybe I'm having, branch office Mumbai. Whatever be the people who are having, they are working in a branch office Mumbai. I want to allocate that permission to those people only. So I can assign this permission on the group rather than assigning to the individual people. Okay, so I'm just adding this many people. So I've just selected randomly, and let me just go and say, okay, review and create. So I think 33 people I have allocated this. Okay. So within few minutes, you should wait at least for 4 to 5 minutes. Okay, and once you re-log in, you just go and log out once and log in after 3 to 4 minutes and try to access it. Now if you say what virtual machine, or resource group, you should see, that training resource group. Okay. And under this training resource group, you should see uh, that VM which we have created. Okay, guys, can you just try and let me know whether it is accessible or not? Yeah, thank you, Prithviraj. Can create multiple VM at single time. Acha, okay, multiple VM, single time you can create it by using. There are different option of creating the resources. Portal is one of the way we are explaining. There is something called as Azure CLI, Azure PowerShell script, okay, or something called as a Azure ARM template. So mostly people are using for creating multiple resources. Okay, something called as ARM template. So that is the best way to create resources. Okay, and where to create that we can decide at the time of configuring that template. So we can send it as a parameter. We can configure those parameter also in the separate file, parameterized file also. Okay, and there are multiple ways to run your configuration. That ARM template. You can run it through the portal also, or you can run it through the script also by using Azure CLI script or Azure PowerShell script. Okay. Yeah, I think a few people are responding, so they are able to see that resources. Okay, so now if you just go and Prithviraj, if you can show screen, can you just show your screen, please, Prithviraj? Share your screen. Share and that show us how uh, that VM is able to see, or that resource group be able to see. I think you are having a permission, no? Sorry, you are not having a permission. I'll just click. Okay, now you should be able to share the screen. Yeah.
Yes, I'm sharing.
Yeah, it is visible now.
So this is my home page, and I have to click on the virtual machine, correct?
Yeah, so you can click on that virtual machine, or you can click on that resource group. So you should be able to see that resource group as well as that virtual machine.
Okay. So currently I have clicked on the virtual machine, and the virtual machine win dash VM is appear here.
Yeah, okay, go inside that.
Okay.
Okay, and if you just go and click on that, stop that VM, so as a reader, you cannot go and stop that VM. As a
Okay.
reader, you cannot go and delete that VM. So if you go and click on that, it will give you error.
Stop this virtual machine. Do you want to stop? Can I click on
Hmm.
yes?
Yes, yes.
Fail to stop virtual machine.
Yeah, because you're not having a required permission to do that action.
Right.
Okay, and if I give permission such as contributor role, then you will be able to do that action. Okay, maybe
Okay.
stopping the VM or restarting the VM, starting the VM. So you will be able to do that. But since you are having a reader role, you will be able to connect that VM. Okay, but for
Can I?
connecting, you need a user ID and a password.
Right.
Okay, so just stop sharing. I'll show you, okay, how to connect that. Uh, yeah, thank you so much. And let's share it once again, my screen. So something called as VM. Let me go inside this VM. Okay, bin VM. Now, if you see this Docker VM I'm having, I have not given a permission, to see this Docker VM, because Docker VM is the VM which is present inside another resource group, which is not part of this resource group. Hence you are not able to see that resource. You will be able to see only this resource. Okay. So if I go inside this, if I go and connect, okay, that will allow me to download one RDP, one file called as RDP file. Okay, and I'm just watching this, the new screen because, but remember this thing, Microsoft is updating very frequently with the UI, yeah. So as of now, I'm saying, this IP address, and if you just go and click on that IP address, okay, it should go and allow you to download that file. It is not allowing. Earlier, it was allowing me to download that file, but don't think it is available now to download that file. It was allowing us to download that RDP file. I can't see that option yet, but I can just go and copy the public IP. This is the public IP. You can get that public IP from overview section also. This is where you will get that public IP. This is the public IP. You will get that public IP from connect as well as from this. Okay. So if I copy this public IP, if I open a remote desktop connection of Windows machine, I'll just open remote desktop connection application of a Windows machine. Okay. So if I just go and open remote desktop connection, and there I have to specify what the IP address. Okay. And I will be saying connect to this IP address. Okay. So when I connect to this IP address, okay, this will ask you what is the credential. Okay. So you should be able to come to the screen, but because you are not having that required credential with you, you are unable to connect to this machine. So I'm entering the credential and I'll try to connect. And this will, if I enter the correct ID password, this will allow me to enter into this VM. Okay, and once it is allowed you to enter into the VM, you can see this is altogether a separate machine, altogether a different machine, which is created on a cloud platform, which is created on the Azure platform. So I'm using currently Azure virtual machine, which is present virtually, VM. Normally people are called as VM, this called as VM. But generally, what is that meaning of VM? means machine which is present virtually. Okay, so you'll be able to see this machine over here. Okay, so you'll be using what public IP address. Okay. Got it? So now let me just go and add, I'm into this VM. So I'll be adding IIS server. So for that, I'll be just opening that server manager, which I just closed. Okay, and there's a section called as add remove feature. We'll be clicking on that add or remove feature. Okay, and we'll have to simply follow this dialog box in order to install IIS server, Internet Information Server, so that I will be able to see that at least homepage of that IIS server. So I will be able to deploy any kind of a .NET application or HTML file, on that IIS server. But my plan is not to deploy any application. Plan is to just show you that homepage of this server once it is installed. Okay. So if you just go and try now before installing, if you just go and try this IP address. Just say if someone has credential and IP address, can anyone log in this family? We have benefits of this are available. No, for this we do not have any kind of a MFA set. So if you have a credential, you can be able to log in. Okay. So I hope my answer is okay. But since you are not having ID password with you, you are not able to log in. Of course, you are not able to log in because the ID password you are not having. No? The ID password, while creating it, I have set that ID password. You cannot log in. So, so while creating this Windows virtual machine, I have set up my user ID and a password. So once the administrator has created that, so that ID and password, will be provided to the, appropriate person. Okay, and that person will be able to use that virtual machine. Only one person who is having access, okay, that person will be able to use that VM. Okay, so in my case, I'm using that. Nobody else. I'm not going to share that credential. So let me just go and copy this. You can just go and copy this. I'm doing that only. I'm creating some kind of a web page only. Okay, so that you will see at least the page from this. Permanent IP means what? Okay, it is static IP address. Okay, so you can just go and type this, copy this, and just put it over here on the browser. You will see the error message because if you provide this like this kind of a request, the request will be sent on port 80, and in this application, as of now, I don't have any in this IP address or in this machine, I don't have any application who is running on a port 80. So I will be installing one application now, which will run on port 80. Then we will see that application. So now I'll go back to the VM and I will just go and install that software. So we were here, role-based feature. I'll say next. Server installation. Okay, I'll say next. I do not have to say anything. Just only point you need to say server role, web server. That's the only point you have to just go and select. I'll say add, say next. Then I'll say next. I'm okay with everything. I'll say next, and finish. And finally, I'll say install. This will take hardly 1 or 2 minutes to install this. And once installation is finished, you will be able to access that application which is installed on that VM. Okay, so this will complete very soon. I think installation is finished. So I'll just go and see. Just go and refresh this. If that installation is completed, I should be able to see this. But one more point, the installation is completed, but I still not able to access this page. Okay, that's because one thing, so if you come to the portal, if you go inside Azure Windows VM, okay, and there you will get an option called as networking. If you go and connect, if you go and click on this networking, okay, there you will get an option called as NSG, Network Security Group. Okay, so these are the rule, which is configured as of now. Okay, so that means what, all these are the rule, so I have specified only one rule, 3389, which is an RDP port. Okay, so anybody will be able to connect to this machine by using this RDP port. Okay, so I will add another port, incoming port. That means any user who is sending the request, on 8080 port, so for example, you have specified 8080 port, then any application which is running on a port 8080, that application will be, displayed, or that application will be, accessible to that, user. But in this case, I want to open the port 80, so I can just go and say 80. Okay, or there is separate port for that, and that is HTTP port. I can just go and choose HTTP port. Okay, and I can specify what, whether it is allowed or not allowed. Okay, what's the priority? So priority you can set any number between 100 to 65, 500, so lower the number is higher priority. So I'll just go and specify this priority. Okay, so now if I just go and refresh this, I will be able to see that port 80 in this network security group. So can you see this? And once it is available over here, now we can try in, okay, 1 minute. Okay, so I can just go and try it right away. I'll just refresh it. And if it is installed and if it is having access on a port 80, we should be able to see that IIS server page. Okay, so there you go. So I will be able to see, that internet information service page over here. So I'm able to see that page over here. Okay, so just like me, you should be also able to see that page. Yes, Shashi. Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Okay, so if I just define, this 80 port, which is allowing the request, but if I just go and define one more rule, maybe I'm setting it on 80, but this time I'll say this deny. Okay, and the priority I'm setting it as maybe higher priority. I'm giving it as 120. Okay. And I'll say add this priority or add this rule. So now there are more than one rule for port 80. One is allowing, one is not allowing. One is allowing, one is denying. Okay, so there are two rules. So which rule will get effect? Whichever has a higher priority. Which has a higher priority, which got the lower number, that's got the higher priority. So this is having the higher priority. So ultimately, you should not be able to see that page now. So let's refresh this and let's see whether we are able to see it or not. It's working. Okay, and in the end, we should see some kind of an error. Okay, finally, we should get some error. If you're able to see that page, you just go and open this into an incognito window. Okay, you should get similar kind of a error. So as of now, what we have done, as per the network security group, we have blocked. Despite that application is working, that port number is also has that application running. So since you are not having or since you are not given a permission, okay, since I have blocked the permission by using a network security group, so this is blocking this request. Yes. Okay, so I'll just delete this. I'll just delete that deny rule. Okay, and let me now go and create one more VM, and this time I will be creating a Linux-based VM. Okay, so Linux-based VM, multiple people will be able to access it since it is a multi-operating or multi-user, not multi-operating, multi-user operating system. Okay, so everybody, all of us are able to log in at the same time to that Linux-based virtual machine. So let me just go and just show you how to create that Linux-based virtual machine. Though this machine is also a Linux-based machine, but I don't want you know, this to dilute any kind of data with it. I want to keep this VM intact. So for the practice purpose, I'll just go and create another VM. I will keep that VM inside same training resource, training RG, so that you should be also having that access. Okay. The name of this VM I'll keep as Linux VM. I will be keeping this in the East US, and I'll be choosing Ubuntu Server 20.04. That's the image I'm choosing. Okay. And if you look at over here, it is 5,500. But if you just go and choose, different regions. So for example, I'm choosing this as India region. So let's say I'm choosing West India, so price will be different, for different region. Though it is not allowed to create this kind of a VM in this region for my subscription. But can you see this? The point is, just look at the price. So price definitely depend on the region. So region is one of the primary factor your price can be varied. So you have to choose a region based on your requirement. Okay. So if your user are closer, or if your user are mostly user are India based user, okay, then it is suitable for keeping your resource in the India region. So to what ultimately whatever be the application I'm deploying inside that VM, my end customer will experience for lower latency rather than keeping that resource in the another corner of a world. So we can keep our resource which is closer to our users. So to avoid the latency. If you are not having a latency issue, then okay, you can choose what most economical, okay, whichever region which is fine for you. You can choose that as per the price. So I have noticed that East US is the most economical region. Okay. East US, okay, or there is something some resource in the Asia Pacific region also, which is also economical. But I normally go and choose what East US for the training purpose, because this is most economical resource. Okay, there are two kinds of authentication mode when you create Azure based VM. So you can just go and choose what SSH key, okay, or password. Password is simple. We'll have to enter a username and a password, and then that ID password we will be using it while connecting it. Okay, and that we will also use it because SSH key. Okay. Once we go and create that VM, it will allow us to download that SSH key. Okay, and from that key, there is another software called as key generator. So whatever file we have downloaded, Using that file, we'll have to generate a key by using that software, that key generator software. Okay, and once you generate that software, it will generate a key. Okay, that is one more file which gets generated, and that file you'll have to use in any one of the client tool to access your Linux-based VM. Okay, so that has dependency. So I'll just go and choose a password-based authentication, and I'll choose what password. Enter password as this, and this time I'll open port 22 open, because Linux-based virtual machine, I will not be taking a RDP. By using putty, we will be accessing it, and that requires port 22. So this setting will ultimately activate in the network security group. Okay, and this port number for 22 will get open. Okay, and let me just go and quickly create this VM. Okay, let us create that VM. Okay, so it is getting created. Yeah, so it got created. So let me just come inside this. Okay, and can you see this public IP? So you will be able to see this public IP, and I'll just go and give you the public IP. Okay, and I'll provide the credential which I use for my this uh, Linux-based VM. So this is the credential which I've used for Linux based VM. So those people who are interested, they can also access the Linux-based VM by using a software called as Putty. So for accessing, you require to have Putty installed on your machine. Okay, if you do not have Putty installed, okay, you just go and download that Putty. Okay, and it's hardly a 1 megabyte file, and it's just light installation. Okay, hardly take a few minutes to install, or I would say few seconds to install. Once it installed, you will see like this Putty app. Okay, and over here, I will be giving my IP address. So this is the IP address of my virtual machine. Okay, and I will open the port, keep port 22, and let's say click on open. So I'll clicking on open button. Okay, this will allow me to enter my login name. Okay, and enter my password. While typing the password, be careful. It's not visible. Password is not visible. So you have to type it carefully. You know, once you type it, the password carefully, you will be able to log in. And you can try different kind of command. Okay, so this is the Linux machine, and you have to use the Linux machine on the command prompt like this. Okay, so you just let me know whether it is accessible or not. If you're trying to access, just let me know, confirm. Is it accessible? Yeah, it is accessible now. So few people are able to access this. Okay. Okay. Now there's something called as so I hope you are able to access this VM. So I'm just closing this and so for accessing this virtual machine, you need to keep your public IP, and if you do not have the public IP, at present we can't access that VM. Okay, but what if my machine is not having VM is not having a public IP attached to it? So then also we will be able to access it. So for example, so I'll just go and Windows machine, Windows VM, and this is the public IP I'm having it. I'll go and click on that public IP, and I would like that public IP to disassociate. So where is that option of disassociating? Let me come to the overview section. Yeah. So in that, you should get an option of disassociating. So I'm disassociating this IP address. I can't delete that IP address if this is attached to that VM. So in order to delete that IP address, or if you want to use that IP address to some other resource, then you have to disassociate that IP address from earlier resource. So I will be doing that. I will be disassociating this public IP. And remember that public IP is going to cost you. And as soon as I disassociate, I will lose this connection also. So let me just better close this. Anyways, once it is disassociated, this will get closed only by default. Yeah, it got closed. I don't know where it is. But I got that notification. I don't know whether you have heard it or not, but I got that notification. Mhm. It got disassociated. Okay. So by using this public IP, you will not be able to access this okay, IIS server also. Okay. And as of now, if you just look at, I'm not having any kind of a public IP attached to this. My VM is started. My public IP is blank because it is not having any public IP associated with it. You know. So if you are not having a public IP, okay, then there are different options you can connect this VM. Okay, one of the option by using, there is one special service for this purpose called as Azure Bastion service. So Azure Bastion service is going to help you if your VM is not having a public IP, then it will help you to connect to that VM, okay, by using a service called as Azure Bastion. Okay, so I'm having this private IP. Okay, and if you just go and access this private IP, you won't be able to access it. Why? Because this private IP is available within the network. I can't access it over the internet. You know. So, for example, I'm accessing it from my machine. So I'm trying to access a VM which is present in the East US location. I'm trying to access that by using that private IP. Not possible. Okay. So one option, it is possible by using Azure Bastion. Another option, it is available if your machine is part of this you know uh, part of this network. Okay, which network? This network. Okay, which network? There is a network VNet. Yeah. So when yeah. So when VM VNet, that's the virtual network name. Okay? So virtual network slash subnet. So this is when VMnet is a virtual network name slash default is the name of a subnet. So what I said, I'll repeat. So I will be able to access by using access this machine by using this private IP address only if my laptop is associated or my laptop is attached to this VM. Currently, my laptop is not attached to this VM. Or neither I can do it. Okay, by using anything. Okay, until and unless there is some special concept called as VPN. Okay, I need to set up that VPN and I need to okay, establish that connection. Unless it is not possible, otherwise it is not possible. You know, so by using this private IP address, we can't access this VM. Okay, for accessing, I should use either Azure Bastion service or my machine should be a part of that network. Okay, or by using a concept called as okay, firewall, you will be able to access it, or by using a concept called as load balancer, okay, the machine will be able to access it because firewall, load balancer, both are having front facing IP address. Okay, so using that, we will be able to access the machines. Okay, but Azure Bastion service is wholly responsible for this purpose only, and we will be making use of Azure Bastion service. Okay, so let me just go and create that, because for creating it will take time, and once we create, okay, we will take a break. So Azure Bastion, I just go and click on that Azure Bastion. Okay, we'll be clicking on this create button. Okay, so I'll just go and say training resource group. Okay, and the name of the instance or name of the service, I'll just go and say Aston B1 and just say it like that. And I should go and choose, okay, uh, the virtual network where you want to place this Bastion service. Okay, and that Bastion service is required to have one special subnet called as Azure Bastion subnet. Okay, so I'll be creating a new Azure Bastion subnet. So by clicking on this, configure this. Let me just go and create a subnet. Let me just go and create. Azure Bastion subnet. Let me say save. We have this is the name of subnet, Azure Bastion subnet. It's the name of the spelling is correct. Azure Bastion. Okay, spelling mistake. So I'll delete this subnet. This has picked up that Bastion. And I will be creating inside when VM VNet. Okay, and that is going to have one IP address. Okay, I will say create this. Okay, I'll just create this VM, and once create this Bastion service, and once we create this, okay, we will be able to access this. But for creating this, at least this should take 5 to 7 minutes of time. Okay, so let's wait for a break now. It's 4:35 almost. Okay, so we'll be coming back in let's take it now 20 minutes break. We'll be coming back around 4:55. Okay, so let's come back around 4:55. So what do you think? So we need to create Bastion in the same subnet VM configured in the Bastion. No, we need to create the Bastion service in the same VNet. Okay, the whichever VNet is uh, having that virtual machine which has private IP. Using the private IP, we want to access it. So our Bastion resource should be present inside the same VNet, and it should have a special subnet. The name of the subnet is Azure Bastion subnet. That is the name of the subnet. If you do not create that name of a subnet, then it is not possible for us to create the Bastion service. Okay, no problem. Okay, so let's wait for a break now. We'll wait for a 20 minutes break, and when we come back, by that time this will also get created, because under the hood this will go and create a lot of resources. I will just talk about that resources using that diagram. Okay, so let's wait for a break for 20 minutes. We'll come back 4:55. Hello, guys. I hope you're there, guys. I can see 60 people who are still there till the end of the session. This is really, commendable, guys. So sparing this Saturday is not an easy. Uh, so thank you so much, guys, for being with us, till this time. So hopefully, you will be with us, for rest of our, rest of our session, maybe till 6 o'clock. Okay, thank you, guys, for attending this peacefully and patiently. So our Bastion service is created. Okay, so I can go inside this Bastion service, and I did not selected any kind of a resource group for creating this. So in which resource group? Okay, that is gone inside this resource group, same resource group only. Okay, and so using this Bastion service, I want to connect to this. Where's connect option? Can you see anybody? Sorry. Okay. Okay. So if you want, virtual machine to create uh, this virtual machine, I basically want it to connect, and this is not having any kind of a public IP. Okay. So there was earlier option which is not currently available. Uh, so once you go and click on this connect now, it will basically show you option whether you want to connect it through the RDP or whether you want to connect it through the SSH port, or whether you want to connect it through the Bastion. So that option, okay, now in the latest view, this option is available right here like this. Okay, so this VM, if I want to connect it through the Bastion, I should go and click on this to go to Bastion. Okay, and in this view, I should go and specify that ID password. But before this, going in inside this view, if I just go and take the private IP. Okay. Since this is not having a public IP, if I just take a private IP and if I try to connect by using remote desktop connection, of course, this will not connect because this is not present in the same network. This is a private IP, not a public IP. So this will give you a error. Okay. So I want to show you that error message. Okay. You can see this. So since your virtual machine is not having an public IP, so your virtual machine is present inside some kind of a network. So let's say this is your VNet virtual network. Inside that, I'm having some subnet. What do you mean by subnet? Subnet is the what you can say the logical boundary in which you can organize your different resources present inside a virtual network. And what is virtual network? A network present virtually, that is called as virtual network. So in the default subnet, so this is the name of my subnet. I'm having a virtual machine. Okay, and this virtual machine is not having a public IP. This is having a private IP. Okay, and private IP, I believe it is 10.0.0.4. That is a private IP of this machine. So of course, from my laptop, this is my laptop. Okay. So if you want to connect to this VNet, of course, you have to go and connect it by using the internet only. I don't have any other connection in between this. Okay. Hello. I believe you are audible. Am I audible to you? I got disconnected for one or some seconds. I think 15 to 20 seconds. I hope I'm audible to you. So can you just confirm? Am I audible to you? Yes. Can you just confirm, please? Am I audible to you? Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much. So people are writing in the chat box. Thanks. So now, as soon as you deploy the Azure Bastion service, what is going to happen is that so Bastion service is going to create is needed one subnet, one special subnet. Okay, and the name of that subnet should be Azure Bastion subnet. So this is the name of that subnet. And once you create that Azure Bastion subnet, as a part of deploying that Bastion service inside this VNet, Azure will create some virtual machine, and this virtual machine, you do not have to create it. Azure will, under the hood inside to create that virtual machine. Okay, so it will be provided, whatever be the name, it will be provided to that, virtual machine. And you remember that, ultimately we have to provide that public IP, so we are going to, provide public IP to this, to the virtual machine, which get created as a part of creating a Bastion service. So there is some IP address, public IP address will be created. So what we are going to do, I am going to access on my laptop the Bastion service by using a portal. So I will go and access the portal on my machine, on my laptop. And way of accessing this portal, by typing and I will be using that portal. I will be accessing that, Bastion service, and that will allow me to enter, the credential, the username, and the password detail. Okay, and that will give you one button. Okay, and if you provide that username and a password, so this will be ultimately will be connecting to the this virtual machine, which is created internally, and ultimately this will be connecting, and this will be given to this IP address or this VM. Okay, so look at this. Under the hood, it is going to create another VM. Okay, under the hood, it requires Azure Bastion subnet, and it will move on create a VM. And using that VM only, it will help you to connect, to this another virtual machine which is not having a public IP. So can you see this? The resources which are present inside same VNet, but of course they might be present in a different subnet. They may be able to connect it. If you are not having a public IP, I'm having a machine present inside this subnet. I'm having another machine which is present inside this subnet. So they will be able to, speak to each other by using their private IP. So this kind of communication is possible even if you are not having a public IP for your actual VM. Using Azure Bastion, you will be accessing it ultimately by using that private IP. Okay. So I hope this point is clear to you. Okay. So now I will go inside the connect option. The common way of accessing this machine by using RDP, but since public IP is not available, I can't connect it by using the RDP. So I'll have to connect it by using Bastion. So I'll click on that Azure Bastion. Okay, that will give me username and password. Allow me to enter a username and a password. Okay, and let me just go and connect. So I have just given a password, not provided that in a keyboard. So I'm just connecting it. And if you enter the ID password correct, you will be able to see this is logged into the VM, and the entire VM you will be able to see in this window. Okay. So this Azure Bastion service, most of the time will be used by the administrator who do not want to connect it by using RDP. Okay. So this has opened the another window. And in just a second, you will be able to see the theme. Okay, so give me 1 minute. I'll take a water. Waiting for that window to appear. Okay, this is taking a lot more. And we just put it. Okay, so meanwhile this is getting loaded. Let's move ahead with the next topic. Meanwhile I'll show you the output as and when this getting loaded. Let's set up the next concept. And next concept, I will just briefly discuss about uh, the virtual network. Okay, this is loaded now. Okay, so I'll just show you this. After this concept, so I'll just go and show you. We are going to create a virtual network. By the way, as a part of creating that virtual machine, implicitly we have created one virtual network. Okay, unknowingly we have created one virtual network, and the name of that virtual network is by default Azure has given that as Windows VM vNet. So that is the virtual network name it has given. Okay. And in this virtual network, basically, whatever be the name of my virtual machine, it has appended that vNet. So Windows VM is the name of my virtual machine. It has appended vNet, after that. So in this virtual machine, in this virtual network, I may have several subnet. And as I said, what is subnet? Subnet is a logical, subset of your virtual network. You can, visualize that way. So I may have, different subnet inside this. So I may have, let's say, a couple of subnet. One subnet, I'll have a couple of subnet which is present over here, like that. You can have a multiple subnet inside this. Okay. So any resource you're going to keep inside one subnet. So for example, I'm just keeping the virtual machine over here inside this subnet. Okay. And for example, you're having another virtual machine, present inside this subnet. Okay. So for communicating, so maybe another resource you may be having inside this subnet. Okay, and that may be a virtual machine or that may be any kind of a database also. So let's suppose say, I'm having a database present inside this, subnet. You know. So for communicating this, uh, I can be accessing this by using their private IP. I do not need any kind of a public IP for accessing this. Okay. So, for example, I'm just having another, virtual network. Okay. And the name of this virtual network is Win VM VNet 2. That's the name of this virtual network. And inside this virtual network, again, in the same way, I'm having a subnet. Let's say consider that there is only one subnet. And inside this, I'm having a virtual machine, So maybe virtual machine VM2. And this is not also having a public IP. So this is also having a private IP. So this VM and this VM by default, they can't speak by using their private IP. They can't communicate by using their private IP because these are present altogether in a different virtual network. The resources from the same virtual network may be present inside same subnet, may be present in a different subnet. They can communicate with each other without using a private IP. No, sorry, without using a public IP. No, okay, they can communicate with their private IP also. But the resources which are present, into a different VNet, you cannot, access the resource by using their private IP. Okay, so it is same as if you're accessing this resource from your laptop. You can't use private IP and access. You need the public IP only for accessing from your laptop. Okay, either you need a public IP or your laptop should be a part of this. And how can we make this laptop part of this virtual network by using the VPN connection, point to site VPN connection only. Okay, or point to point VPN connection. Okay. By the way, we are not going to configure that, in our full-fledged course. I normally go and configure that because that is going to take a time. At least that configuration is going to take 1.5 hours. So I'm not going to configure this, but I will do this. Okay. So I want to communicate this to VM. Okay. So as of now, I'm having a VNet, WinVM VNet. In that, I'm having a resource which is already there. In that, I'm not having a public IP, that is having only the private IP. Okay. So what I'll do, I will go and create one more virtual network. Inside that, I'll create one more virtual machine. Okay. And we will just go and verify whether this machine is able to connect to this machine or not by using a private IP. Okay. And initially, it is not going to connect by using the private IP. But later, when I go and establish something called as a network pairing, okay. So what I go and do, I will establish something called as a network pairing. So this is your VNet pairing. So I'll be establishing VNet pairing. And once I establish that VNet pairing, okay, they will be started communicating with their private IP. So these two virtual machines, will be started communicating with their private IP. So no matter this two virtual machine may present in the same region. Okay. So for example, if I'm having it in the East US region, or it may present altogether a different region also. So I'm having one more region. Okay. So maybe India region I'm having. Okay. And in West India region, or South India region, or Central India region. Okay. Again, I'm having a similar kind of situation where I'm having a resource VM created, and they want to communicate with this resource. So this can be also done by using a network pair. So this is normally called as the VNet you are trying to connect. Okay, which are present inside same region. They are called as local pairing. Okay, I'll repeat. Let's say your two different VNets are present inside same region. If you want to establish a pairing in between those two regions, that is called as normally the local pairing. And if you want to establish, a connection between one region and virtual network which is present inside another region, that is called as a global pairing. But the option for creating a local pairing and global pairing is the same. Okay. So you will be able to connect the virtual machine that may be present in the same region, or that may be present in a different region. But only one precondition, the IP addresses, should not be overlapping. If you're having an IP address which are overlap to each other, this communication may not happen properly. So for example, I'm having a 10.0.0.4 IP address, and I'm having also this 10.0.0.4. So then this will not able to connect. So you have to make sure your IP address should be different. Okay, so we'll try and do this concept. We'll try and see that concept working. Let's call this as okay. So we'll implement this concept, and that will be the last topic we will do it for today. Okay. So by the way, you can see this, okay, we are able to access this VM by using Azure Bastion service. So we are exactly getting the same, view. Okay. What we have left it last time, no? I think we have left this. Okay, so by the way, here you are able to see that view. It is hanging as of now. So I believe you must have got the concept. So I'll not waste my time in this because it is very slow. So I'll just move ahead. Okay. And as of now, I'll just show you how many virtual network I'm having. So there is one resource called as virtual network. Can you see this? So this is one of the networking resource, virtual network. And if you just go and click on that network, virtual network, it will show you currently there are two virtual networks which are present. One which I was having it earlier, Docker VM VNet, and second, which I've just created, as a part of creating the Windows VM. You know? So I will be creating, and let me see the address range. The address range I have taken as 10.0.0/16. This speed is problematic. By the way, you are able to hear me, guys? Because my internet speed is very slow. Currently, I can see. Is there any disturbance or is there any sound problem you are facing? Am I audible to you properly? Yeah. So the people are asking about what is the benefit of using Azure Bastion. Um, so benefit is this, is if you do not want to expose your, virtual machine by providing the IP address, public IP address, because if you go and keep the public IP address, it is, attackers will get an, entry, or attackers will get a chance to, hack your virtual machine by using that public IP address. Okay. So if you're not having a public IP address, okay, okay, then Azure Bastion is help you to connect the resource which is not having a public IP address. Okay, is that clear to you? I hope it is clear to you. Just give me 1 minute. Okay. Okay, so I'm creating one virtual network now. So I'm inside this virtual network, and I will be creating another virtual network. Okay, let me pick that. So I think I have to reconnect because my my internet speed is very slow. So we see this. I will be providing window VM VNet 2. So that is the name of virtual network. You know, and I will be keeping it in the East US. Or I can keep it in the any other region. That's not a problem. I will create it in the same region or different region. Not a problem. Okay, and I'll say create. Okay, and by the way, you can see this. It has an address space of 10.2.0.0. And earlier I was having what 10.0.0.0. That was address range. So both the VNets are having different address range. Okay. So now inside this VNet, I will be configuring a virtual machine. Okay. Now inside this, I will go and create another VM. It's got very slow. Let me just go and change my. Yes. Uh, for 1 or 2 minutes, my connection may lost. I'll disconnect and I'll reconnect by using another connection. वायफाय बंद करून परत चालू करून बंद करून चालू करतो रिस्टार्ट कर स्लो झालाय तो yeah so I'm creating another VM so let me just go and create it in the resource group might be same it's not a problem. The name of the virtual machine I will just go and keep this as Windows VM2. Okay, I will keep it inside East US, uh, because this is the important point. The resource, your virtual machine region and your VNet region, both should be same. This must be same. Your resource group region and your resource region is not a problem. Okay, you can have it different. That's also not a problem. But I'll just go and choose a same region for my virtual machine, same region for my VNet. Okay, so I will just go and provide the credential. Okay, I'll open this 3389 port. Okay, and I'll just make sure my network. Yeah, so I should not keep this VM inside this virtual network. So I have created another virtual network. I should keep in that virtual network, So I should go and keep it inside this WinVM, VNet 2. This is the virtual network I will keep my resource. Okay. And rest all, everything I'll keep it as it is. I'll just go and check this checkbox. Delete public IP and network interface can. As soon as I delete that, so let me go and create this virtual machine. And let me say, create this. Okay, I hope you are able to hear me. Am I audible to you? Maybe Prithviraj, you can speak and let me know. And write down. Okay, thanks. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. So my virtual machine is created, or it's in process of creation. So once you create that virtual machine, I just go and repeat that scenario, what we are trying to do. So I was having this Windows VM VNet, and under that I was having a VM that was present earlier. Now I created another VNet, okay, and under that VNet I have just created another VM, and using the public IP, I will be accessing this, okay, and using the private IP, I want to access this. So ultimately, what I want to do, I want to access this VM. So since this VM is not having a public IP, I can't access that VM directly. Okay. So what I can do, I can access the VM which is having a public IP. So for example, for this VM, I have given a public IP. I will be accessing this VM by using their public IP, and I want this machine to go and access by using their private IP. So initially, since it is part of a two different virtual network, I can't communicate by using a private IP. So first we will test, we will get fail, and once we establish a pairing, we will be able to communicate. So that part, okay, we are testing. So this concept is called as VNet pairing. Okay. So there you go. My resources got created. My virtual machine is created now. Now, since it is having a public IP, I will be accessing this VM by using a public IP. Okay. So let me just go and copy this. So VM2, this is the IP. This is the IP for VM2. For VM1, I'm not having the public IP. I'm having private IP. Okay, so I'll just let me pick up that private IP of this VM also, because I will be using that. So I'll go inside this. And let me pick up this. This is the private IP address of this VM1. Okay, so we will be able to access from my laptop. Okay, we will be able to access this VM2. Okay, and from the VM2, we should go and access the VM1. So ultimately, our goal is to access this VM. I can't access this directly since it is not having a private IP, since it is not having a public IP. So I will go and access it via VM. Okay, so let me just go and connect this. Okay, so I'll be connecting this VM2. I need to connect to VM2. So by using this IP, let me just go and connect a remote desktop connection. Okay. So using remote desktop connection, I will be able to get inside. Okay, VM2. So I am inside VM2 now. In a few seconds, I'll be able to go inside VM2. Yeah, so there you go. So I'm inside VM2. Okay, so now from this VM, I will be connecting, the VM 1. Okay, which do not has a public IP, by using a private IP. So initially, if you go and try to access from this machine, that VM, by using that private IP, you will not be able to access it by using that private IP. So let me just go and access the same thing by using the IP address. Let me just go and access that IIS server only. And let me see whether 80 port number is allowing or not. So I've just 80 port number, which is allowed. Connection is allowed. So by using the private IP, I will be able to access. Okay, I should be able to access, but initially it will not. Okay, but once I establish a pairing, I will be able to access. So first, let us go and see on a browser. Okay, and let's go and type the IP address. So it is 10.1.0.4. No? Please confirm. 10.1.0.4 is the IP. Okay, I'm going to set this. I'm going to access this. Let's see whether this is accessible or not. Nope. So you will get ultimately an error. Okay. Why? Because you are not having this VM is not a part of this virtual network. This is present inside separate virtual network, and this VM, okay, which is present inside separate virtual network. So you can't, access. Same way you can try to take a remote connection. Okay, so remote connection also not allowed because of the same reason only. Okay. So if you just go and specify this and try to connect this, your remote connection will also not be allowed. But once you establish that network pairing, you should be able to access this as well as you should be able to, connect by using a private IP from this machine, from this VM. As of now, you will get an error. Okay. So let me now establish that pairing. Okay. And for establishing the pairing, I'll go inside this. Okay. I can open any virtual machine or any virtual network. Let me just go and open virtual network, VNet 2. Okay. So under the settings, you should get an option called as pairing. Okay. So just go and click on this pairing. Okay. And that will allow us to, add a new pairing. Okay. And of course, it will show you how many pairings you are currently having. So currently, I'm not having any kind of a pairing. So I'll just go and add a pairing. So I'm going to do this VM2 VM1. Sorry, not VM. VNet2 to VNet1. Okay. So from VNet2 to VNet1, that means from virtual machine 1, sorry, virtual machine 2 to virtual machine 1, you will be able to connect. So your traffic will be allowed. Okay. And so it will allow you to set the reverse pairing also. So from VNet 1 to VNet 2, okay, my traffic will be allowed. So which is my second VNet. This is I'm using what VNet 2. So I want to access it. I want to allow that pairing between VNet 2, VNet 1. Okay. So I will be allowing and I will say add. Okay. So once this is added, once this is completed successfully, okay, you will see over here option such as status such as connected. And once you see that option or status connected, you should be able to access this. That communication is possible. So I'll just wait for that option to appear, that status to appear. Okay. So this status, you will be able to see it in the VNet 2, as well as I can see in the VNet 1, the same kind of a status. Okay, and let me just refresh. I can see this is connected. So you can connect from VNet VM2 to VM1. Okay, same way you can do the connection between VM1 to VM2. So pairing that connected VM1 to VM2 as well as VM2 to VM1. Both are connected. Okay, now if both are connected, let's try and access this. Okay, and there you go. So we are able to access it, that IIS server by using the private IP. Can you see? This is private IP. Okay, and I will be able to take a remote connection. Okay, so I'm already inside VM. From this VM, VM2, I'm connecting VM1. Then just go and say it will allow. Okay. So if it is showing you that this credential dialog box, that means that network, is able to identify this IP address. Okay. If you type the IP address, type the credential, you will be able to get into this machine. Okay. Okay. So we can do it with the help of network pairing. So we will be able to interact the different resources which are present inside different virtual network. Okay, with the help of VNet pairing. Okay, guys. Then copy from desktop to VM. Sai, I'm not clear with your question. From desktop to VM. Yeah, so that when I create that virtual machine, no, that FTP connection is by default enabled for Azure VM. Okay, so that's the reason I will be able to copy it. Otherwise, you have to do some setting. Okay, okay, that is enabled by default. I can go and copy from VM to desktop or desktop to VM. In the Azure, it is possible. Normally, it is possible. I have just shown you, no. So because I can copy it anything and I can just paste it inside that VM. Yes, it is not. You'll have to, but there is a option to enable that. Okay, and so I can't recollect that option right now because it is enabled by default. So I don't have to, go and enable it. But here also you can just go and enable that option. Okay, guys. So that's it about this session. One last thing I will share. I was talking about that exam. More questions you will get. Okay, so then just go through this website for more questions related to the AZ-104 exam. This is the free website which is available, so you will be able to explore whatever be the number of questions which are available freely. You can be able to access those one kind of questions. So I will recommend you to go through this question set before the examination. This question set will help you a lot. But of course, if you're reading those question set and appearing for the examination, that is not going to help you. Okay. Uh, Maybe you'll have to go through the concept first, understand the concept, then you see that question. It will definitely help. So thank you so much, for attending this, and uh, I think Tanvir has shared a feedback
Hello.
form.
Hello, Makaran sir. Am I audible?
Yes, yes,
Yes.
you're audible.
Yes, first of all, thank you, Makaran sir, for this wonderful training on AZ-104. If participants have any questions related to the topic, please drop them into the chat box. And meanwhile, request you to submit the feedback through the provided feedback form. We appreciate your thoughts and suggestions as they will allow us to make improvements in delivering the session. Thank you, guys. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. I'll share that exam page link also in the chat box once again. Uh, so this is where you will find all the study material also related to this examination, 104 examination. So you know, uh, it is recommended that you should go through this study material, before you attempting any kind of a practice test also. Okay, so that will give you a certain ideas, okay. So what kind of concept are there? Okay, and after that, you can go through that questions that will help you certainly. So guys, please fill the feedback, guys, and thank you for patiently listening to me, and thank you for so much. Yeah, thank you so much for appreciating my work. Thank you, guys. Sai is asking if exam you need Azure subscription. If you have that Azure subscription, you will be able to do the practical, of course. Okay, but if you do not have, okay, then try to obtain, the free subscription. Okay, I'll just go and provide you the link. From where you can obtain the free subscription, but it is having a lot of precondition. Just if you are meeting those precondition, you can just go and uh, obtain the free Azure subscription, and you can try out different concepts. Yeah, thank you everyone. So for being so kind, thank you for appreciating. Yes, you will get the recording in the email. You should get that recording in the email. Maybe today, tomorrow, or by latest, by Monday.